the NFT space is really, community based. So people like to share the NFTs on social media. They like to watch them on their phones. There are some free metaverse where you can create, your own gallery. So the way people experience art is also evolving. And I think that can also be tricky when you're an artist and you're used to, having your works exhibited in a physical space. It's challenging, you don't necessarily understand what's the point.
Hello to you all. Welcome to yet another episode of NewForum. NewForum is powered by Newcorn Foundation and provides humanized and organic ways for thinkers to coordinate in order to ensure the conscious and ethical growth of the new web, embedding the values of care, freedom, and creativity.
And as usual, we are super excited to have with us today Jessica Soueidi, the founder of Art from the Future platform, a woman-led startup focusing on educating artists and art professionals in Web3. We're going to talk with her about the reasons for her wanting to educate artists and get more people into the Web3 space. Hey, Jessie, we're super excited to have you with us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm super happy to be here.
Amazing. So Jessie, let me start it off with, I found you through Instagram and I saw your really colorful feed and your educative videos on social media. And I want to know, how did you found your journey into the Web3 space?
Yeah, well, let's say it's a long journey because I started my career as a visual artist. So really traditional. I was studying painting in France, in Strasbourg, so in Alsace, in the East. And after graduating, I worked as a visual artist for 3 years. So I was lucky enough, I was invited by the Swatch Art Piece Hotel, which is the artist residency that is held by the group Swatch in Shanghai. It was really awesome. And after working for, 3 years as an artist, I noticed that it's just impossible to make a living from your art. And eventually I called my friends who were at school with me to see like how it was going for them. And I noticed that, many were like taking several jobs and they just couldn't like make it at all. And so eventually I decided to go to business school to create my startup, Art from Future. And I'm just talking about the background because it's a bit important to understand like how I ended up in the Web3. And while I was studying in 2018, I first heard about the blockchain. I was super interested in all the technologies that could democratize the art world. And I heard about blockchain, but I just didn't understand like how we could like apply it to the art world, especially because at that time, I was thinking of art as a physical good, as a physical asset. So it was hard for me to be like, okay, how can you track a physical piece on the blockchain if it's like, I mean, you can still like reproduce the piece. Like if there's not like a QR code that is like on the piece and that can stay forever, that no one can burn or remove, then for me, it was just hard. So the years passed, I created my startup in 2021. At the same time, when we heard, everyone heard about the sales of like Beeple. And so I had launched my startup. And at that time, the idea was completely different than what I'm doing now. The idea was to build a platform with all the tools so that artists can, make money without intermediaries, so that they could become entrepreneurs and be connected to the final consumer, which is, the buyer. And the services that I was offering had nothing to do with what we can see, in the Web3, like the new technologies in the Web3. And while I launched my company, I was super interested in what was going on. And I was like, oh, I think that what I just built does not align at all with my vision, actually, because in order to remove intermediaries, I guess that it's super hard to do it in the Web 2, but in the Web 3, it kind of solves the whole problem. So to answer your question, like, let's say that the first time I really got super excited about Web3 was in March 2021, a little bit like everyone else.
That's super amazing, you know, also to hear from you how you thought, okay, like I have to pivot, or I have to, you know, sometimes we try to build a business or we try things and then we are like, oh God, we have to like pivot and think about like what is really essential and useful. And I think your story reminded me a bit of the founder of Patreon, who, you know, who went and he published a music video on YouTube for, I think, $10,000, and he put so much work into the music video because he was a musician, and then he realized he doesn't get paid from YouTube, or he doesn't get the amount back, and then he built Patreon. So, you know, you come from the background of you being an artist, and I think that's really amazing and inspiring.
When I really thought that, okay, I'm going to pivot my project was in October 2021. So from March to October, I was really observing the space. I was like attending all the Clubhouse talks that I could. I was listening to people, I was watching, but it felt a little bit inaccessible for me at that time. And then in October, I was like, okay, maybe I should start buying my first NFTs. So I bought NFTs on the Tezos blockchain because there's basically no gas fee and I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have money. So I was like, I will start small. And then I noticed that, okay, I can buy a lot of NFTs on this blockchain. You can find like amazing art for like $1, and I'm not joking. And so like 2 or 3 weeks after, I thought that I'm an artist, so maybe I should try selling my NFTs. And like in a month, I sold so much NFTs, and I earned more money than I never, you know, earned as a traditional artist. And I loved also the fact that you have this like connection with the collectors, right? When you're in the NFT space, everything happens on Twitter. Someone will find your NFTs, they will love it. They're gonna post your NFTs. They're gonna like show the world how much they love supporting you. They're gonna send you messages. And I felt that this is something that was lacking from the traditional art world, at least.
That's quite incredible. I mean, I really like that, you know, your sort of like your mission to problem solve the situation that you are going through, you know, led you into as to say, like into falling down. Let me take my thoughts again. So it's quite incredible that like your own personal experience sort of led you to this Web3 path, you know, and you are trying to problem solve, you know, you're solving a problem. And so I really like admire your intention, and not to say that I have an issue with, you know, people just like selling their NFTs and, you know, thinking about the monetization aspects of things. But I like that you are thinking about like artists in general, you know, like how can I create something? How can I be a part of this narrative that is going on, you know, to help artists gain value for their work, in terms of like ownership and, you know, all these amazing tools that the Web3 culture, Web3 in itself brings us. So that's super incredible. So back to what you do, you know, you're the founder of this amazing Art from the Future, and it's woman-led, and it's supporting Web3 artists like through education to succeed in the NFT space. Can you define what like education means in this context, and what inspired the mission, and what's like the future vision for Art from the Future?
Yeah, for sure. Like at the moment, as I said, I'm pivoting. So the idea is super new. I'm actually building the community first on Discord, but I had this idea because I started selling my NFTs, and I was so happy to find collectors, to get money for what I'm doing, because, you know, many people have this problem. They will say that, oh, artists never earn any money from their art. But when they start earning money, they're cash grabbers. And I'm like, it's a job, it's not a passion, right? So at some point, you really need to make some money out of your job. And this is something I tried to talk about to some artists who are still like really focused on the traditional art world. And every time I tell them that, hey, you should really try making NFTs. It's an extension of your physical art. You don't have to stop, making your physical art, but you can think of maybe creating pieces for the metaverse. There's so many, possibilities. You can also bring value to your collectors in a new way, but their answers are often the same. It's like, thanks, but NFTs are not for me. And that's it. And then I thought that, why are they like all saying the same thing, that NFTs are not for them? Is it because NFTs are bad for the environment? Is it because NFTs are associated with speculation? And then I thought that, okay, there's a lack of education because people don't actually understand the technology. They don't understand what's happening here. And that's when I got the idea to pivot the project and build a platform that would, give them like free resources as well as paid resources, such as, pre-recorded videos, etc. So at the moment, my goal is to build the community. I'm actually building the project or the prototype at Kernel, which is a Web3 incubator. After building the community, my idea is to start giving the free resources, so such as blog posts, content on social media, which I'm already doing, and talks, events in different cities, etc., to get as many artists on board as possible, and then offer paid services. And those paid services would be like videos that would explain a bit more. Let's say that an artist would like to learn how to market his or her NFTs. This is like really something that someone needs to learn. You can't, like, some artists have it, they know how to promote themselves, but it's a job, right? It's a job. So these are the services that I could offer, but also I would like to attract a talent pool of experts. So it can be like coders, it can be like 3D designers, people who are specialized in building personal brands, and I want to connect them with the artists. So at the end, I see my project as a DAO, working as a DAO. And of course, it's too early for me to say how it's going to look at the end. But the main goal is to give all the resources possible for artists to understand the Web3, why it's interesting for them, and help them succeed in the space.
I think this is really important. And I think you're well on your way. You're doing really well. And yeah, I mean, I also like the fact that you're transparent about the fact that you do not know where it's going. And as you were like describing everything, I kept thinking about, it could be a DAO. It could be a DAO. So I wasn't surprised when you said that. But currently, I guess we're still seeing where this DAO is evolving, and it seems like it's going to be the next big thing after NFTs. And however, the infrastructure and all of these things need to be worked out even better. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing art from the world. Art from the future DAO. It's going to be incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also excited. And as you say, it's a really new technology, and I think that no one knows what they're doing. Like, people are just building and seeing how it evolves. And I think the best is just to start with the basics. There's no point of, having a smart contract from day zero and and building the DAO. I think that the most important thing is to get the community and see if people are interested, because what's a DAO at the end of the day? It's a community of people working towards the same mission. And let's say if I'm able to, gather, I don't know, 2,000, 4,000 artists in a couple of months. And let's say that these artists are not interested by the vision of art from future, then there's no point of, continuing. Maybe the best would be to do something else.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, the incredible thing about DAO, at least like the potential that excites me, is the fact that you have a community that you can bounce back like information, feedback, because most of the time as artists, when we're creating something, we want another person's perspective, right? So imagine if there's this organization or there's this community of artists and you all are like working towards like the same mission vision, and you're throwing back ideas. I think that really excites me. And again, like you said, we did not know, but I think we're going to see where all of this is going to pan out. And yeah, I really admire what you're doing so far.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I wanted to add something, because my mission is really to help artists at the end of the day, to really live from what they make. And we saw what happened in the traditional art world. There is like just a tiny percentage of artists who were able to make a living as professional artists. And I think that now we have the chance, we have like new tools to, not to reproduce the same mistakes. And I think that if we can give the tools early enough for artists, then maybe a bigger number of those creators will be able, to make it.
I love the mindset that you have, about, okay, let's see what users want, what the people want, and then we can think about if it works or not. But as you said, we are all in this space where we don't know, like nobody really knows, but we're figuring it out day by day, project by project. And I also want to mention that I saw an article where it says that art education and fashion education, music education, all of the creative jobs in university degrees are the most costly university degrees. And then afterwards, the highest ones where you have to work different jobs and to really keep your career going. And I think we can maybe bridge that with Web3, where we can, you can have your DAO, have your NFTs, and have a community that supports you without going the traditional way, maybe. And that's why I think many artists struggle with that idea of like, oh, NFTs, because they come from being taught that traditional way, and they still have that mindset of like, oh, I need to struggle to really be successful in the arts, But I think with Web3, we can really change that mindset long term.
I wanted to add quickly that, I think one of the things that perhaps this discourages most of these artists is the fact that, they see what's in the NFT marketplace, and they either don't think it's, valuable enough to, to make that sort of money, right? To earn that sort of money that they're making off of it. Especially because, like you said, they've been taught, like Joyce, you said, they've been taught the traditional way, and they're like considering all these like factors about art and composition and what art should be, right? What real art should be. But I think, like Jessie said, with education, I think most artists are thinking mostly about the aesthetic side of things, and they want to produce, and there's passion and joy. You really touched on an important point, because yes, going to art school is super expensive. And then you come out there and you intern and you're like really hustling, trying to make it. And a lot of people have loans to pay. And so I know some brilliant, classmates I had back when I was in school, and they had to take on like regular jobs. Like, they're so talented, but like, I'm not saying being a male guy is not like valuable. Of course, we all have a role to play in this world, but you went to school, you paid so much money, to be an artist, and then you go out there and then you can't find a job. And so you end up being a male person or working as a receptionist just to, make ends meet. And so I think that like what Jesse's doing is really important, because education is very important, and we are all skeptical when we have to try something new, and the space is new, and there's always something new. Like I'm still learning, and I still can't keep up because there's always something new. So I think education is key, and we're certainly grateful that we have Jesse in the space playing that role.
Yeah, thanks. But I totally agree with you. I think that one of the biggest problem is that artists are taught to, go to art school if they went to art school. And then when they come out of the school, they will go, to art galleries, or they will apply to some contest, and they're used to see their art hanged on a wall. And these are questions that people ask me a lot of times, like, but how do you watch your NFTs? Like, what do you do with the NFTs if you create them? And I'm like, the NFT space is really, community based. So people like to share the NFTs on social media. They like to watch them on their phones. There are some free metaverse where you can create, your own gallery. So the way people experience art is also evolving. And I think that can also be tricky when you're an artist and you're used to, having your works exhibited in a physical space. It's challenging, you don't necessarily understand what's the point of having pieces that are, in the virtual world. And I guess that it's exactly what you were saying, that the world is evolving. And I think that we just have to evolve with the world. It's like yesterday I was speaking with someone, and I was saying that I was talking about art from future, and the person said, but I do understand artists. They just want to make art. They don't want to take care of, all the technology things. They don't have to understand what's blockchain. And I told him that I think they have to understand, because now artists work with Photoshop, InDesign, they work with like tablets. Well, they had to learn, you have to learn things. People started painting in caves in the prehistorical times, and now we're painting, on our computers. And I think it's okay. And I guess that the education thing will take a lot of time because it's super new, and it's hard to understand, and I think it's okay. It's not bad, I don't think that artists who don't want to make NFTs or get involved in the space are less worthy as others, but maybe they need more time.
Yeah, also, like, I think the main thing is like the mental shift needs to happen, because obviously we get used to a certain system, and change is really difficult. It takes time, even when the internet came about, people were skeptical, and then before we knew, everybody was using it, and so it would take time. But definitely a lot of the mental shift is I think the first step in understanding the space and seeing how it benefits you as an artist. And also I think that I guess developers and so on need to also do their part in making these platforms, making them more like user friendly, because like you said, an artist just want to do the work, and most artists are introverts, they just want to, they pretty much put everything in their work, and they don't want to like do all the marketing and doing all that stuff. And so I think the more we make things accessible and the tools accessible in this space, I think the more we can reach a lot of these creators and these artists out there.
And I want to add that I can understand the artist, because if you've been doing oil paintings for years and years, and then you see like a monkey NFT, and you're like, what do these people know about art? They don't know anything about art, and it's like frustrating because you spend 10 years developing your oil paintings, and you try to reach out to galleries, and you've been building this system around yourself. But like you said, it's everything that you don't educate yourself over, like whether it be finances, business, marketing, you give up the power to other people, you leave like the power to other people to take care of these things for you. And then obviously they will make contracts that are maybe not so good, or so really education is really important for yourself, being you're an artist, you're doing fashion, you're doing music, you also have to know that there's a business aspect to it. And you touched a bit on the metaverse, so I want to go there a bit. And my next question is, I have a friend who told me about there's a French metaverse kind of evolving, or they're building this French metaverse, and I'm wondering, what is your perspective on the metaverse? How is it going to look like? Maybe what do you personally think? How is it going to look like? Is there going to be like an Italian metaverse with art, or French one, or is it a whole metaverse? Yeah, I want to know your opinion.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm also fascinated with the metaverse, but I have to say that at the moment, I don't have that much experience with the metaverse. Like I've been using oncyber.io to showcase my art, but it's just you cannot get in with an avatar, so it's not like a 100% type of metaverse. But I've also heard some people saying that the metaverse should look much more like the reality, because at the moment, like metaverse, they kind of look like games, right? So the way they have built them are kind of funny, but I have to say that I would be disappointed if the metaverse would look exactly like, would be a copycat of like what exists already. I like the fact that it looks a little bit like a game at the moment, like the sandbox. I've been in a party inside of the sandbox. It was fun. Of course, it's still not 100% user friendly because there's just people everywhere. I remember that we had to get a POAP and no one was able to find the POAP thing. And then there's a chat. So it's still like, I think like we're still building it, but I would imagine it more like a game where we can see like we can come in with our fashion clothes that artists are building, and then there would be like cool art inside and we could hang out with our friends. And that's how I see it at the moment.
That's really interesting, right? I'm always super surprised with hearing different visions of the metaverse and how it can look like. I remember the first time I was in a gallery, I had no pants and I was like, what is going on here? But I like the fact that you say, it's really makes art accessible for, let's say, if you are in Asia somewhere, but your friends are in San Francisco, you can still show each other art online and you can still keep that connection, even if you don't see see them physically. And that will open a lot of doors for people from all around the world that can now display their art in virtual galleries. Or there's so much potential in the metaverse idea. What we could do with it, I'm excited to see it as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I really agree with you, Joyce, and I think that we will be able to share much more experiences with our family or friends that are really far away. But I also really have to say that I love the gamified version of the metaverse, the fact that you can actually even now buy some NFTs that you can wear inside of the metaverse. And I think that this is so cool. But I'm also hoping that, in the next years, we can have like avatars that really look like ourselves, because at the moment they look like Legos or something, and I don't like it that much. I would really like to have like a version of myself, and of course add all the virtual elements like clothing, or maybe my profile picture that I bought from like a NFT project. But it would be cool if it could be a bit more like realistic for the avatar part.
Yeah, I think that would be really awesome, because I think whenever we talk about the metaverse, I can't help but think of like sustainability as well, because especially now, we had a guest who was talking about the fact that even us pretty much expressing ourselves on for instance like Instagram and whatnot, we care about how we look, and most women or girls don't want to repeat what they wore for this picture or for that picture, so you keep buying and buying. So imagine if you have this avatar, and like you said, that looks quite realistic, closer to the real you, and you can dress her up and do all that exciting stuff with this avatar, and also focus on really taking care of your physical self, because I feel like sometimes this generation cares so much about this image that they project on social media versus what's really happening in their real life, and so people are projecting something out there, but then in the real life it's totally different. And so I think that maybe this type of, the concept with avatar and expressing ourselves through that can help solve this, finding the balance between, okay, I don't have to go this extra mile and like maybe wear a wig all the time, put makeup on my face all the time, I'm getting breakout, I'm buying so much, I'm running out of money, or I'm doing this. But you can do that with the avatar, which is more sustainable. And then you can really spend time focusing on taking care of yourself, your skin, and not having to put yourself through, all the stuff that we currently do, I'd say.
Yeah, I have to admit that it's super interesting what you just said, and I haven't really thought about it. And it's true because like at the moment, if you want to do a TikTok video, then you're like, okay, I have to do my hair, I have to put like makeup on and everything. Of course, some people don't do that, but there's a large number of people who will do it. And maybe if you could just like style your avatar and you wouldn't need to like do all these things, it would be better. You would buy less makeup, less like creams or things, and maybe do less like promotions for like brands that are destroying the planet. I don't know, but that's really interesting. And also I really like the idea of dressing up your avatar. It reminds me when I was like maybe like 10 and I was like playing on the computer, or maybe older, I don't remember, but somewhere there. And I used to play like Polly Pocket, and you could like dress her up and everything, and I loved it. But what if you could do that with yourself in the metaverse? It would be just amazing.
Yeah, I remember that, as a kid playing that as well, and also watching, I think it was playing this game, The Sims, and was like the first time I saw people doing this metaverse meetings, I was like, this looks exactly like the game The Sims. And the correlation between gaming never was in my mind before this. My only concern is like what Salimi says, is that we forget about like real life value, because there's so much value with being on the internet, like image and marketing and things that are on the internet that can bring you so much change in your life and value, and everyone knows that now because we have access to it, that we forget about real life things. That is like my only concern with the metaverse, because I feel like you said, you have a blown up platform, but you might feel like not good inside, or there's things in your life and real life people that you need to take care of, and that's my only thing, that we need to find this balance between virtual life and real life, and how we can really also bring value to this internet space and not just cloud it with things, like how we can really extract the value out of NFTs, out of DAOs, like what is purposeful, like having 100 DAOs might not be purposeful, but like having like maybe 10 really good ones, or I don't really know how this is going to look like, but yeah, it's just some of my thoughts on that metaverse idea.
I think like purpose-driven projects is definitely important. Like, what NFT projects are you supporting? I think that's all parts that should be part of a conversation. And like Joyce said, balancing these two worlds, it's gonna be very, very tricky, because we're experiencing the metaverse in its basic, I say, sense. We're like online, we're talking, we're using Zoom, and all of these things happen so quickly during the I would say COVID lockdown time, and it was a form of escapism. We were all escaping from it, and we still do that. Like sometimes when I'm feeling stressed out, I watch a series to escape from what it is for a second, and while I'm watching this movie, that world becomes my world now, and I'm excited about the characters and what's going to happen to them, and that's all I'm thinking about, so much that I escape from my own personal issues. And then once the series ends, I'm like, oh, back to real life, now I have to deal with this issue. So I think we're going to even experience that like deeper. And yeah, the mental health issue is very important. And I don't even know if it's appropriate to share this, but I stumbled upon an article, and the title says, within 60 seconds of joining Meta's Facebook metaverse platform, pretty much a lady experienced, there was a gang sexual harassment or something in the metaverse. And I was like, what? And we're women having this conversation, so I could not really help but touch on it a bit. And this is something that I never even thought would be possible in the metaverse. I mean, we had one guest that said something about, oh, in the metaverse, there are people drinking or even smoking weed or whatever. And I was like, how is that possible? But then to the extent that your avatar can be sexually harassed, it's mind-boggling, and I mean, I really hope that as we're developing this metaverse, we kind of find ways to bridge all these type of things, because it's going to get worse if we don't start problem solving now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there are two interesting points. The first one is the fact that we're spending too much time online. And I think like people who are shy or reserved or not feeling so good with themselves are going to become feel too comfortable in the virtual life that it's going to be super difficult to interact with people after. That's one point. And the second point, I read this article of the woman who gets sexually harassed in the metaverse. And I think that people should already be working right now on a way to prevent these things from happening. Like, I don't know if they can build like bots, like avatar bots that would like react if someone is having a weird like interaction with someone else in the metaverse. I don't even know if this is possible, but they should be working on these kind of things, because there are evil people everywhere, and evil people will always try to bring evil in the best technologies or anything. So
yeah, I want to say that cybersecurity is something that is going to grow. I think we need to have some sort of metaverse police, or like you say, bots. And it's really, also I always think about children and how they have now access earlier and earlier to these platforms, and they need to be protected, and they like, it's kind of crazy, because your brain is not used to all of this, and we don't even know how it will affect the brain of these children, so I'm really like glad that we pointed that out, and that I think we all see the necessity for cybersecurity and things to be regulated. As much as we love decentralization, I think there needs to be rules and things that we can avoid scammings and, like you said, harassments and stalkers and all of these things that we don't really want to see. And so, yeah, as something.
So what really fascinates me about the metaverse is this idea of simulation and using the metaverse to actually like solve real life issues. I think that's really exciting, because it could be used in the medical field, agriculture, like think of all these things that can be done. So, the metaverse could be great, but of course, like we're all saying, we need to start diving deep into how we can problem solve some of these issues that we've already started noticing. Wherever there are humans, there's going to be good and bad. It's just our nature, right? So we just hope for the best.
Yeah, my next question would be something about blockchain. So I want to ask you, when it comes to like blockchain technology, and also Web3 technology, what do you consider? Like, what projects do you look at, or what do you consider when choosing a blockchain with dropping your NFTs? And yeah, I'm really excited to know what you think about that.
yeah, so it's a very good question, because as I mentioned at the beginning of our discussion, I started with the Tezos blockchain because of two things. Because it's super artistic compared to Ethereum, where you can find a lot of profile picture projects. And also it's more eco-friendly. And I think that for me, this is also an important aspect. I mean, if I have the choice, why not, go towards the good one. So for my own NFTs, I've been creating a lot on the Tezos blockchain. I really love the marketplaces on this blockchain. I don't know if you've ever checked. There's like object.com, teya.art, versum.xyz. All of these blockchains are marketplaces are really cool. The community is amazing. Artists support other artists, and I really like it, which I feel is a little bit different than on Ethereum. I started also putting some NFTs on Ethereum to try it out. And I feel like it's harder to find a community from there. If you don't come with a big project such as a PFP, it's super hard. And as a collector, I've also bought a lot on the Tezos blockchain, but also I started wanting to get some profile pictures because I mean, like everyone has some. And I think that some projects are really interesting. If you just find like an interesting roadmap that aligns with your vision, then why not? And mostly I bought projects like women-led projects because it's very important for me. I think that there's a huge like gap, gender gap in the blockchain ecosystem. And so I bought like maybe 3 profile pictures on the Ethereum blockchain, which are not expensive at all. And I really, really love the project. Maybe you know those projects. I don't know if I can talk about it here, but I'm going to talk about it. There's like pixie jars. They're like little girls in a jar. They look like Polly Pockets somehow. And the founder is super nice. They're not trying to just like grab money from people or doing these kind of things. And I really love that it's super inclusive. There's like, what was the name? The Woe Pixies. I bought one, but I sold it actually. I resold it because I thought that the art looked a little bit too much like World of Women. So I was a bit disappointed after all, and Stacks Invaders, it's a girl who makes little robots. And I thought that that was super interesting because most of the profile picture projects led by women, they're often like girls that are super girly, and I love it. That's not a problem. But I was super interested in the fact that she was making something different. And at first I thought it was a boy. You know, you're so used to seeing like boys doing that. And I got my brother and my sister to buy some as well. And also for DAOs, I really like the project called Crypto Besties. I don't know if you heard about that, but they're creating the first makeup line for the metaverse. And I think that this is amazing. I love makeup. And I'm trying to contribute to their project. At the moment, I don't have so much time, but I've registered and I'm planning on helping them a little bit, but I just love the idea. I think it's super revolutionary, and I think they're 2 young girls from the States and Canada. So definitely if some people are interested in makeup and the metaverse, that's the project. And yeah, I guess that's quite it.
That sounds so interesting. The fact with the makeup, what you just mentioned is so interesting to me because we already have these kind of filters and we already have some sort of, you know, avatar makeup or some filter makeup or whatever. And then thinking about this could actually be like an NFT or a brand around that makeup look, a certain look. I think that's super interesting. And for me, I love the fact that you support women-led NFTs and artists. I think that's super great because still there is, like you said, there's a gap for women to get into the space, or even women who are entrepreneurs. There's usually always a male still at the top, or VCs are male. So I think it's super important that we all support each other and that we push this movement still forward. So for me personally, I'm still a bit confused with what to look at with projects. I'm on Twitter and there's like a million projects, and I'm like, how do I really find my NFT project? Or how do I message the founder, or how do you do it? Like, how do you go about communicating within that NFT world, I would say?
Yeah, well, that's really a good question. Me too. At first, I didn't understand like how it works. How do you like get inside of a project? You know, from because before the launch, there's this huge like hype that they're trying to create around the project, and then I understood that you have to find the project early enough on Twitter to get in the Discord, because usually there's, you know, a community on the Discord, and you can interact with other people. You can get access to whitelist, because it's usually better to pay, you know, the whitelist price instead of buying the NFT on the secondary market, because it's much more expensive. And if you're like me and you have a tight budget, then it's always better to try to get the whitelist. But then it became super hard to get any whitelist, because they will ask you to, I don't know, spend your days on Discord, participate in fan art, invite like 20 people. And there's a friend of mine who made a tweet like a couple of weeks ago, and he said that it's a new way of slavery, because you're doing so much for them, and at the end of the day, you're not even like sure of getting the whitelist. And I think that maybe they have to change this process, because it's a little bit weird. But basically, the most important is to check the roadmap. So you can check if the project aligns with your vision, and check the community, because there's a lot of projects that have bots in the Discord, and you really don't want to end up in this type of community, because it means that it's just bad. And also what I check a lot is the Twitter. I check if like people in my community, are they following this account? Are they interacting with this account or not? And if the 3 points are validated by myself, then I jump in.
Thank you for explaining that, because I feel always super overwhelmed. Like I join a Discord and then there's already 300 messages of people, and I'm like, where do I even start looking at? And then there's this roadmap where you have to sign up here and put your wallet here and verify this here before you can enter this here. And I'm like, this is not user friendly at all. Like I'm usually a person, I go the extra mile to be part of something. So I will email that person, I will message people. But if it's that complicated, my brain is like, okay, like maybe this NFT is not for me, or like, you know, at least that was my first experience. That's what I can say.
No, but that's true. That's true. I mean, it's super overwhelming. And I think that people like who want to get those NFTs, they don't sleep. And I heard that some people go to hospital, like people can do really, really, really extreme things to get on the whitelist. And I think that the fact that it's not user friendly is so true. It's not, because then you have like your Discord is like popping from everywhere. Then you have to add your wallet somewhere, and you have to do it for all the projects. And then you never understand like when is the mint date. The mint date changes. So it's like you sort of have to be 24 hours involved in the thing in order to, you know, be on the project.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I haven't yet gone on that path yet, but wow, it sounds quite, I'd say, discouraging, you know, and I think that it's really great that you're offering like you as part of your work, you're also playing a role as a coach, you know, because I can imagine that you need a coach for this, you know, you need somebody to guide you, you need somebody to encourage you. I mean, of course, I think being able to do all of this within a community is ideal, you know, within the DAO, right, is ideal. However, like having someone like, I think maybe when I'm ready to get on that road, I'm probably going to contact you, because I would definitely need some coaching. Because before Joy shared her experience, I was going to say, wow, I love how you even got your brother and your sister, you know, to buy an NFT, and you made it sound so simple. And so like, I was like, oh, I think I should get into that. And then we went down the other side. I'm like, whoa, okay, let me pause for a second and process. So yeah, I think I'm really glad we're having these type of conversations, because everybody's saying all these amazing things about Web3, and Web3 is indeed amazing, and the potential, and oh my goodness, when I think about it, I'm like, wow. However, we need to be transparent, you know, is part of education. Transparency is part of the education, so that we all know what we're getting ourselves into, and we can learn and we can be part of building this Web3 community or Web3 culture that we want to see. You know, we all have a role to play. And so I think that having these conversations, the developers, investors, and, you know, everyone out there listening, how can we fix this? How can we make this more accessible? How can we make it better? And I think we need to answer all these questions, you know, as we move forward.
Yeah, I quickly want to say that communication is so fast that you can't keep up. Like the communication in these like discords is so fast, and Toast had to, like, our colleague had to remind me a couple times, like, hey, sign up for this today because you will miss out. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss out, like, and I'm not gonna have this NFT from this company. And it's like, I'm happy that, like you said, we have this conversation, and that Jessie also.
Someone getting sick, like people,
Yeah, it's
that, like when Jessica said that, it was mind-boggling. I'm like, what? I never thought it was that deep, you know.
Yeah, people like get super frustrated, and because I have this WhatsApp group with my brother and sister, and we're like, damn it, I couldn't like make it to the public sale, but they took some gas fee, and like you get like aggressive at some point, you know. And but I just want to say that this is true for the Ethereum project. But again, like if you never bought on Tezos, like the Tezos community, it's so different. They're selling art like any kind of art, digital art, and it costs like sometimes $1. It can go much more, but you don't need to go in Discord groups or anything. You just go on the marketplace and you just buy the art. And that's why I love it so much, because it's so much more inclusive somehow.
Thanks for clarifying that. You know, I think we had one guest who was telling us that sometimes the gas fee is even more expensive than the NFT you are trying to buy, you know, so what's the point? Yeah, but it's good that, you know, we have other ways to do this better. So we've had such an amazing conversation, and you know, we're all excited about Web3, the tools, and how we can improve all of this. And your role in all of this is super admirable, and you know, you've got our support. We see you as part of our community, and before we wrap up, I wanted to know your mental frame, or sort of like your mental model as you think about the future of Web3. And also, if you had a few words to leave with artists listening to you right now, what would they be?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me. It was super interesting, and maybe we can continue this conversation too later. Well, it's very hard for me to sort of like not predict, but see how Web3 is going to evolve. But I really see that for me, I think that there's going to be a lot of like new communities of like artists and collectors, at least in the art industry, that will create. I think there will be a lot of DAOs that will be like created over the past maybe 2 years. But then at some point there will be like too many different things that eventually some will like completely vanish. And as Joyce said it, I think before, I think that there will be like some main DAOs for each industry, and then like small groups that are doing something that works. But also, I really see the art world as like artists working on their physical art and the NFTs, but thinking of the NFTs for the metaverse. And I think that for me, that's like the most exciting part, because at the moment it's a lot, you know, like NFTs that you can have on your phone. And I think it's really cool. But when you start like imagining all the possibilities that you can make with that for the metaverse, to interact with it, maybe in augmented reality or anything. It's something that excites me a lot. And I think that there will be many artists doing that in the, how do you say that, in the years to come. And if I would say something to artists is, I think that it's really important to not to ignore what's happening now with Web3, because I believe that it's here to stay and it's going to disrupt all of the industries. And you don't want to come in the space when it's too late. I think it's good to, even if you don't want to start like making NFTs, to educate yourself from the start. So maybe if some artists are listening to us right now, maybe they can get in touch with me, join the Art from Future Discord, ask questions, be part of a community of artists who are interested in learning about the benefits of Web3, and to jump in as soon as possible, because Web3 is not our enemy. It's just a new tool that's gonna, lead to some really cool opportunities. So
Totally agree with you. I think these are great points, great advice that you've left with the listeners today, with the artists today. We're all learning, and again, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's an amazing technology, and just the fact that it's community oriented, I think that's the catch for me, and I'm very excited to see where all of this goes. Thank you so much, Jessie.
Yeah, and I want to quickly say that I'm definitely gonna join the Discord, and we're gonna when you have the link ready, we're gonna leave it in the bio as well. And I'm super excited to, I was reading this Twitter quote the other day. I'm super excited to be building alongside of you all, in this space. And I think people in the space just have a really open mindset and are really future orientated. And I think if we keep the good values, make great art, I think we can just have a lot of fun in Web3 and, get more creators getting paid. And I think that's what we all want to see. So, we all have this vision. So I think let's make this space fun, and that's what I also hope for the future. So thank you so much, Jessie, for being part of today's forum, and as well as everyone who watched this. If you guys want to get more involved in our community, make sure to also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We are newcoin_NCO and also NewForum_NCO. And we also have a private Telegram group where we discuss everything that is happening within our community. And Jessie, I also wanted to ask you for your social media so everyone can check out your amazing work.
Yeah, for sure. So on Instagram, my name is Jessica Soueidi, so with no space. And on Twitter, it's Jessie/down Jean, so Jean with double N-E. I'll send you, of course, like all the socials, and yeah, definitely like follow me, join the Discord, and get in touch with me. I'm really not gonna bite.
We'll put all of her social media information in the description, and we are indeed all in this together, and we're all gonna work tirelessly together to make sure this space get where we want it to be, where we want it to go. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Jessie, and we will see you on the next episode.